is Rex, welcoming you to the very, very late, did I mention late episode of this month's Petong Points podcast. Actually, last month's podcast. And what a month it's been with storms, earthquakes, ongoing and off-going lockdowns, and more recently, bugs in the podcast recording system, for which I apologise now, as it will become obvious as we go along. And getting along this month, we talked to the producer of the Nationals video presentation. We mention a place in Spain. We look at some weird Petong things, aren't they all? Chat to Gerry about more Petong explosions, and we have the results of the Vic State Triples Championships. So settle in, turn up the volume, and let's go. We had tried to get a direct interview with Jonathan Giddings, the organiser of the Nationals, who was the mover and shaker who got the video coverage underway for the event. A busy man indeed. The best we could do was obtain a report in writing, which is fantastic. And this is what Jonathan had to say, and I quote, "With the concept idea, Andrew, the producer, had previously done a bit of work for the club in the past, some short promo videos, etc. As the Easter Nationals was the biggest event our club had ever run, I thought it would be a great opportunity to get some footage which might be able to be used to promote the game and our club. In discussing ideas with Andrew, it kind of evolved from getting some good footage to use to why don't we do a bit of a highlights package. That then further evolved into maybe filming 3 of the finals in their entirety. Andrew gave me a budget cost, which I had to consider carefully. I decided to go ahead with it, the main purpose being to get footage to promote the game in Australia and to help build the game's profile here. So at the carnival, Andrew got a lot of great footage, filmed 3 of the finals as agreed, and also did film a 4th final, the Open Triples, which we decided to add 15 minutes before the match was about to start. Glad we did film this one, as it was a great game. For this game, Andrew was concerned about low batteries, etc., but he managed to get through. Commentary wasn't in the original plan, but whilst Andrew was doing the post-event editing, he suggested the idea. I thought it was a good one, but I was pretty sure there were no experienced Petong commentators in Australia. I approached 2 people, Giselle and Gerry, that are members of our club, who I thought might do a reasonable job to see if they were up for the challenge. They both have a pretty good understanding of the game, the main reason I approached them. Fortunately, they were both keen and positive about giving it a crack. We went to Andrew's office and Gerry and Giselle spent a good 12 hours overlaying the commentary for the 4 games. A mighty effort indeed, and I must say how impressed I was with their attitude and professional conduct in performing the task. It was also a lot of fun. It was a long 12-hour day with lots of coffee. The result is better than what we imagined it would be. Of course, it's supposed to sound like it's live. It's great to be able to watch some Petong with commentary in English. Andrew Johnston from Aerial Photography and Video in Adelaide, South Australia, was the director-producer of the video coverage of the Nationals at Novar Gardens, South Australia. Thank you, Jonathan. You can listen to the interviews with both commentators in Petong Point's last episode, number 9. Andrew was not quite as hard to catch up with as Jonathan Giddens, but almost. Here is Andrew with a little of the behind-the-scenes action in capturing the Petong action at Novar. Thank you very much, Andrew, for joining us today. I really do appreciate your time, and as you and I know, it's been a very difficult thing trying to get together, but I'm so glad that we've been able to do it at this stage. Just so that the listener has something to know a little bit about you, your aerial photography and video business, can you tell me how did you get into it?
Well, my background's in video production, doing live events and commercials and that sort of thing. And eventually drones got cheaper and more accessible, and we saw that that would be a useful thing to get involved with. So, yeah, producing video content with drones and another aerial aircraft is something that we wanted to do, and we specialise in producing stuff that's suitable for broadcasters and other video producers.
But okay, so that's the kind of business you do. How did you get involved in this Petong project?
Yeah, so Jonathan Giddings at the Nova Garden Club contacted me. They wanted some promotional footage for their club. They're doing quite a lot of good work on their club to promote themselves and to grow their club. I did some aerial photography and some ground-based photography for them. And then he mentioned to me, we've got the Nationals coming up. What can we do? Yeah, we kind of went from there, and I've got a background in some broadcast work as well. So did as much as we could with the time and energy that we had and put together what you see on the web.
Yeah, and what we saw on the web was quite spectacular. In fact, those promotional videos were really top class, Andrew. Congratulations on the coverage. The only petanque coverage we usually get to see in this country is things that come from overseas. When Jonathan approached you, I take it you don't have a petanque background?
No. I was vaguely aware of it as a sport.
As a lot of people are, very vaguely aware of it. So when you came along, were you challenged by anything that you discovered about the game or about the coverage to make this the success that it was?
Well, yeah, I didn't know anything about petanque, so I had to learn the rules and watch some of the European coverage. Of course, none of them have English commentary, so, I'm sort of guessing at most things there. But Jonathan was very good at giving me an education and telling me as much as he could. And I think by the end of the tournament, I vaguely understood how the rules worked.
I'm very pleased to hear that. And when we go off air, you could probably explain some of them to me. Thank you, Andrew. Because nearly every major important job I've ever done, something always goes wrong. What did go wrong, if anything did? How did you overcome it?
Batteries was our main issue. The game of petanque is not a set time limit, so occasionally I would run out of battery, and I had 5 cameras to be looking at all at the same time, so I was operating one of them and running around to the other 4 in between ends. So there is a few ends that we missed on the occasional camera angle if I didn't notice a camera had dropped out. The other issue for us was heat, actually. We had very hot weather. I think first or second day was something like 35 degrees. The cameras can only operate for so long in direct sunlight like that.
Absolutely.
When they switch themselves off, there's not a lot I can do about it.
I was surprised then when you said you had 5 cameras. I counted 3 as I was watching and possibly a 4th. And if there was any footage missed, I don't think the casual observer would have picked that up at all.
Oh, that's good.
I did think that you were at least 2 of you, but if there was only one of you, it must have kept you damn fit running around all over the place.
In between every end, I had to pick up the camera and run to the other end so that I could be in front of the players and get that sort of following camera angle. So, yeah, that kept me fit and very sweaty over that weekend.
Yes, and I'd forgotten about that. The temperature was so high, and electronic equipment doesn't like that. Andrew, budgets always dictate what you can do on a particular job. What would be the best thing that you would have liked to have had that you weren't able to use on that job?
In an ideal world, we'd have a camera crane on the job. So a camera crane would allow us to give you that elevated angle so we could see the relationship between the Boules and the cosh. We weren't able to get as close as we would have liked there, but a camera crane requires a couple of extra people and some extra equipment, and these are limitations, and maybe next year those limitations might be overcome. You never know.
Having a jib or a crane there would have made a big difference. So that brings me on to the other one. Would you do it again?
Yeah, I'll definitely do it again. Nothing's confirmed yet for next year, but that's okay. If it comes up that they'd like to do it again, I'd be more than happy to undertake the work again and, continue to support the sport.
If I'm able to get over there and do it, you can have me as a volunteer to run around and be your roadie too, if you like. So I'll be happy to do that for you.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. Actually, I'll tell you a story.
Yep, go for it.
On the 2nd or 3rd day of the tournament, we organised to film one of the matches. I can't recall exactly which one was which, but anyway, Jonathan came up to me after the first match and he said, "Look, I reckon this next one's going to be a fantastic game. Can you film this one as well?" And I said to him, "Well, look, I've only got so many batteries, but we'll see what we can do. We'll run them until they're empty." It turns out that was the game that turned out to be the thriller out of the 4 finals that we filmed. The Open Triples final, where there was a bit of a come-from-behind victory and quite a tense finish. Turns out that was the most interesting game and the one we had the most camera failures.
And the one that you nearly didn't cover.
We nearly didn't cover it. We weren't planning on covering it, but turns out that was the one, and that's the one that's got the most views, I think, as well.
Yeah, I think Giselle mentioned that in the interview I did with her on the last podcast. There you go. It's always those things that just come out of the blue. Andrew, from aerial photography and video, tell us what else you do.
Oh, we produce aerial photography and ground-based photography as well, video production. We help people produce corporate videos or website videos or cover live events.
Fantastic. What's the best contacts people could get you on, Andrew?
They can come through my website, www.aerialphotographyandvideo.com.au, or via my phone number, 0408 607 660.
Andrew, this has been really spectacular. Thank you very much, and I'm glad we did make it in the end. Thanks again, Andrew.
All
you
right,
take
thanks,
care.
Brett. All right.
Cheers now. Bye.
Thanks, mate.
The Victorian Championship triples were recently held at the Weird and Entertainers home ground in Endeavour Hills. Winners in the Open division were, in the men's, Antoine Buffet, Stephen Langlois and Patrick Defresne. Ladies were Ratana, Marie and Eileen. Men's over 60s were Vince Mueller, Robert Posibon and Guy Messier, all from Camberwell Petanque Club. Oh, did I say that loudly? Ladies 60-plus winners were Shirley Marshall, Catherine Crichton, and from Camberwell Petanque Club, Aileen Hebblethwaite. Yay! Whilst on competitions, Federación Española de Petanca are hosts of the World Championships. No, they're not. They're hosts of the World Championships being held at Santa Susana in Spain. We are very pleased to see that one of the umpires is from here in Victoria, Australia, and he is André Deramond, international umpire, chair of the Oceania Umpire Commission, and member of the FIPJP International Umpire Commission. He is appointed to umpire in the shooting competitions for junior and women with 65 entries using 6 shooting mats. Good one, Andre. Now, here is some petanque information of which you may or may not be aware. 1. Not just a sport for old men. The heartland of the sport is southern France, particularly Provence, and the popular image is of elderly men playing it. And while plenty of retired men enjoy a game of petanque, possibly accompanied by a glass or two of pastis, statistics show that more and more women are taking part. Today, around 14% of the sport's 311,971 registered members in France are women, and there are plenty of women who take part in the Petanque World Cup. According to the president of Ligue PACA, women bring a certain sensibility to the sport that the male players lack. In Australia, I believe the mix is more 50-50. Number 2. One of the best things about petanque is that practically anyone can play regardless of sex or age. Petanque legend Césaire Brouin, known as Césaire of Montlemar, won the first ever Petanque World Cup in 1962. And 50 years later, he competed in his last World Cup in 2013. He died 2 years later. Well done, Césaire. 3. The rise of Bouligans. The term Bouliganisme was coined after numerous stories about rising incivility among French players. In 2007, the newspaper Midi Libre declared petanque is no longer a convivial sport. It is being undermined by constant incivility, verbal threats and gross insults. The non-respect of sporting rules by some players is driving others away, as well as referees who feel endangered. Oh, that sounds terrible. Number 4, a dangerous sport. Petanque may be regarded by many as a genteel pastime, but has been known to get out of hand. In 2008, a man in the village of Aide in the Pyrenees was killed by a fellow player's ball as he was checking how close his own was to the cochonnet. In another tragic accident, quite unrelated to the sport, a pensioner was trampled to death by a 2-ton runaway circus elephant as he played the game. Witnesses described how the elephant had grabbed a tarpaulin and placed it over the electric fence surrounding its pen before breaking through the barriers and trailers that formed a second enclosure. According to reports in local newspapers Le Mans, the animal then escaped and ran towards a man who was part of a group of people involved in a petanque competition in the village square. The elephant moved towards the elderly man and struck him with his trunk, slamming him to the ground. Some witnesses report that the man was also trampled under the elephant's feet. The unidentified man was airlifted to hospital at Cremambisser in the Val-de-Marne region. suffering a major chest injury and a broken leg. The victim died from his injuries overnight. So don't mix your elephants with your bull. Continuing with Petanque history and trivia, here's Gerry to share his treasures. Thanks, Gerry.
Okay, Rick. I'll just say, I must say today has got quite a rich tradition of Petanque. They have a big annual tournament around the year. I guess they've been playing a Boules game over there for a long time, because in 1792, just after the French Revolution, I think it was, there were some members of an organisation called Société Populaire, and these were societies for political discussion. As I say, they were formed around the time of the French Revolution, and they were waiting for a group of National Guard people to come. This of course, was at a munitions depot. And whilst they were waiting, they decided to have a game of Boules. So it wasn't Petanque back in those days. It would have been Boules Lyonnais or Provençal. In any case, they didn't have any Boules, but they noticed that there was a stack of cannonballs nearby. And of course, these were solid metal cannonballs, probably a bit heavier than what we used to.
I would think.
Yes, but still, they did the job, and so they started their game. Unfortunately, when one of the balls landed, it must have caused a little spark after hitting some rocks and some flint or something, and it caused an explosion because there was, as I said, the cannonballs were there because they were at a munitions depot, and there was a barrel of gunpowder nearby, and the spark caused the barrel to explode, which caused the rest of the munitions to go up as well. So the result was actually quite tragic. There were 38 deaths recorded, and over 200 people were wounded.
Oh, my goodness. That's a really explosive game of Boules, isn't it?
It would probably be the most explosive game of Boules there ever has been. I've certainly never heard of anything quite on that scale. Yeah, they certainly probably regretted their decision to play that one.
The important thing is, though, Gerry, do we know who won the game?
Well, that's actually seems to be a question that a lot of people are interested in knowing, but I don't think there were any survivors, presumably. I think both teams were probably wiped out.
We've got to look at the positive sides of this, the resourcefulness of them thinking we can play a game even though we don't have the ball. Look, here's some cannonballs here.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, it was funny. I came across that story by accident, really. I can find a lot of references to it. I'm actually having difficulty finding any more information. I guess something that happened in 1792, the reporting would have been fairly limited, and the original newspaper clippings are probably all gone.
Absolutely. That's what's so difficult. Any of the histrionics of things like this is just trying to get the data. I'm always looking for some interesting things about Petanque. Just trying to find something different is really, really difficult.
It is, and at first you think it's going to be easy because there's a heap of information available. But I remember you mentioned that you'd done a story on the square Boules.
Yes.
A village in France somewhere there.
Yep.
So is it on a hill? Was it
a very hilly area, and that's why they use the square or the cubed Boules, I suppose, so that they don't roll down the hill and into the sea.
There was something that I saw which I was thinking, I might look into. During the pandemic, of course, people were not able to play as much pétanque as they wanted to. And it seems that the idea of indoor pétanque was taking off in France.
Yeah, I did a video on us doing indoor pétanque here.
No, I haven't. No.
Oh, we played it bouncing the Boules off the couch and onto the dining room table.
Oh, presumably you're not using your normal pétanque ball.
Yeah, normal pétanque Boules, and we had the crystal glass out and a bottle of champagne.
Did anything get broken?
Oh, yeah, the truth a bit, but apart from that, it's a bit tongue-in-cheek.
I'll enjoy that, Rex. I'll have a look at that.
Well, I'm interested to hear what you're saying about indoor pétanque, though, so you found more information on that then?
Yes, you can buy soft Boules.
Oh, I see. So it's pretend, it's not real.
They're not real pétanque Boules. There's actually a mini clip on YouTube of Didier Choupet, who was several times world champion back in the 80s, early 90s.
Right.
He's playing with these indoor Boules, and he's saying, they're giving them his endorsement. I think, they're made of fabric.
Well, anything's better than not playing pétanque at all, isn't it?
Well, That's good thinking, Rex.
Well, I hope so. Look, Gerry, once again, thank you so very, very much. I really do appreciate it and enjoy all the information and the entertainment you bring us. So thank you for that. I'll catch you at the next one.
Yeah, looking forward to it, Rex.
Okay.
Thank you.
Cheers, Gerry. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
And you can search YouTube for Petanque Indoors by PB the Vlogs. And to finish off with, the French extensionalist Jean-Paul Sartre was sitting at a cafe table working. A waiter approached him. "Can I get you something to drink, Monsieur Sartre?" he asked. "Yes, I'd like a cup of coffee with sugar, but no cream," the philosopher replied. A few minutes later, however, the waiter returned and said, "I'm sorry, Monsieur Sartre, we're all out of cream. How about without milk?" Yep, that's game over. Thank you for tapping into Petanque Points podcast. Tune in next time by when we hope to have put back all the smoke that came out of all these devices during the making of this show. In the meantime, check out the World Championships. Have a look at the Novar Gardens Easter National videos on YouTube. Don't be a Bouligan, and look out for elephants and stray cannonball. To contribute to the show, drop a line to audiorexy@gmail.com. See you next time. Rex out.
You're a good man, Rex.